I am Daniel Hughes, and welcome to Book 101 Review. Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. He's the author of the Math Kids series, no other than Mr. Dave Cole. Welcome to Book 101, Mr. Dave, and can you please introduce more about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Dave Cole. I'm kind of an unapologetic math nerd. I've always been interested in math. All my jobs that I've ever had some relationship to math. So it's always been very kind of technical jobs. I got into the book series because I used to run a summer math camp with my son and elementary school math kids. And I asked the kids the very first day, who is here because they want to be here? Who is here because your parents made you be here? Almost everybody was their parents made them be there. So I said, okay, so I have to come up with a way to make math fun. And one of the ways I did that was telling stories. And if you think about writing books, it's about telling stories. And so I would tell them stories that would have some kind of underlying math theme. And I started writing some of those stories down into a book. Got a publisher who was interested in 12 books, and I think 7 or 8 translation later, the book series has taken off, and it's all over the world now. So I've been having a lot of fun with that.
So, Mr. Dave, what characteristics define a math kid?
I think, I hear sometimes you're a math person or you're not a math person. I don't think that's really true. I think we all have some math inside of us, just like we all have some sports inside of us. We all have some music inside of us. Sure, some kids are better at math than others, but what I wanted to show kids with the series and when I go out and talk at libraries and elementary schools was that math is not just about computation. It's not just about adding and multiplying. Math is all around us. It's in the number of petals that are on a flower. It's in how weather acts. It's in all kinds of different things in our life. And it's more interesting than kids think it is. So when I give a presentation, kids will come and say, wow, I just thought math was just adding numbers.
Hard.
And you've shown me all this other stuff. So that's cool if you get that little aha moment where they go, I get it. Math is more fun than I thought.
So, how can parents recognize if their child has a strong aptitude for math?
I think if they are always wanting to figure things out, because I think math is beyond just arithmetic. It's the whole logical process in how we solve problems. And if you have a child who's a kind of a problem solver that always wants to solve problems, or maybe they want to take something apart and try to put it back together, those are all kind of strong signs that probably has a pretty good math brain in there that would enjoy reading a book like this.
So, what are some fun ways to introduce young children to math concepts?
So one of the things I do when I go out is I get rid of the numbers and we talk more about just kind of math being all around us. So we can talk about, for example, there's a famous sequence called the Fibonacci sequence. And I show them how we can draw a picture of that. And the shape that gets created by the sequence is the same shape they see in a seahorse tail or in a shell or in the shape of a hurricane or the shape of a tornado or an elephant's trunk. It really is all around us, this simple mathematical pattern. And they start to see numbers in a little bit different way. And then we do a lot of stuff with paper, where we take some paper and we cut it in half, and it's amazing what can come out of that. If I take a simple loop of paper and cut it in half, I just get 2 loops. But if I put a twist in that, make it into a Mobius strip, and I cut that in half, something different happens. And if I twist it twice, something different happens. And when they can see it and touch math as opposed to just something on a piece of paper, I think it starts getting their wheels spin a little bit in their head.
So, Mr. Dave, how do math competitions benefit kids who enjoy math?
So I've been coaching elementary school math teams for 20 or more years. I'm coaching 3 teams this year, and they play a game called Equations, which is a lot of fun. They think it's a fun game. They're actually learning a lot of math and a lot of math concepts, even things, simple things like order of operations, but also just a different way of looking at numbers. And the kids have a lot of fun with it. They come away with really strong math skills. And the teams we've had have done really, really well. Certainly over the last 5 or 6 years, as my coaching's gotten a little bit better, and I have better ways of kind of showing them how to make math work for them.
So, what are some common challenges math loving kids face in school?
Um, yeah, I think there was always this concept that if you were a math kid, good in math, then you were kind of a nerd. Or if you were a girl, you can't do math. And I think all of these have proven to be false. There's a lot of people that are very, very good at math that maybe you wouldn't expect them to be good at math, and some other people that aren't good at math that you might expect that they would be. So I think math can be for everybody. And one thing that drives me crazy is, oh, yeah, my parents said they weren't very good at math. Really, don't tell your kids that, because you're giving them an excuse not to be good at something. Tell them that whatever it is, we want to do the best we can, whether it's sports or math or playing a musical instrument, whatever it is, we want to do as well as we can with that. So the sky's the limit. Anybody can be good at math.
Definitely. How can teachers support gifted math students in the classroom?
Yeah, gifted is tough because sometimes I think there's the thought that, well, if they're gifted in math, they're just going to get the math. Gifted students can struggle with math just like everybody else. But what I found back when I was in third grade, I hated math. I just thought it was boring. And I was good at it. I could get hundreds on the test, but it was boring. So my teacher kind of recognized that, and she started giving me problems outside of the rest of the homework, which I thought was great. I didn't realize she was giving me a lot more homework than everybody else, but it was puzzles and things like that um, I had to use a lot of math to solve. It just didn't get into my brain that that's what I was doing. So I think challenging them, give them something that's outside of their regular curriculum, and there are tons and tons of activities out there that you can find online, or I even suggest some of them in some of the appendices of my book, some things that you can try.
What role do puzzles and logic games play in developing mathematical thinking?
I think uh, to me, a couple of things. One, I think puzzles can make math seem more fun, right?
Yes.
There's a goal at the end of this. I'm solving a puzzle. I'm not just solving a lot of problems on a piece of paper, but you can introduce all kinds of really key math concepts, proving things, and different ways of using logic to solve problems. And those skills might help you 3 years later solve a math problem that you have to come at it at a little bit different approach. Puzzles, sometimes you have to try one way, doesn't work. Try a different way, doesn't work. Sometimes you try a third way, and maybe that one works. Math is like that as well. Sometimes the first method, straightforward as it is, isn't the one that's going to work for us.
Certainly. And are there specific careers that math kids more likely to pursue?
uh, Really all over the place, right? I mean, there's all kinds of STEM. Anything you're going to do in science is going to require some math. If you're going to go into engineering, it's going to require some math. You don't have to go out and be a mathematician. There's not a ton of mathematicians or even mathematician jobs. But actuarial science, anything right now with artificial intelligence, computer programming, believe it or not, the practice of law, going to law school. Political science, I think, is the number one undergraduate degree going in to law school. The second is math. And I think it is that logical process of solving problems that tends to lend itself really well to the practice of law and solving those same kind of problems.
So, Mr. Dave, how does learning math at an advanced level affect a child's overall education?
Uh, I think it's going to give you confidence to do lots and lots of things in your life. Math is related to so many different things. It's related to music. There's so much math now that's going into sports and the analytics and how do we get better at sports and how do we analyze how well somebody's doing. If you look at even baseball, and I'm from St. Louis, and it's a big baseball town. You look at how baseball managing has changed. There's a lot of analytics that are being used to figure out when do I bring in this pitcher, when do I bring up this hitter, and things like that. So there's all kinds of things where math is gonna play into our life, and being able to see that, the sooner you see that and start to recognize some of those, I think the better off you're going to be.
Definitely. So, what are some engaging math activities that kids can do at home?
Again, I think lots of puzzles, and there's tons and tons of puzzles that are out there. I think there are lots and lots of competitions that you can get into. Like I said, this game of equations is very big in St. Louis. We'll have our tournament at the end of the month, and there'll be probably 300 teams from around St. Louis area competing in this. So, more than 1,000 kids will be in this competition, and they all have a good time. And again, don't realize some of them are doing some pretty heavy duty math. They just don't even recognize it because it's a game to them. But I should do things with my kids, just even in the car when we were driving, and we had a digital clock, and there'd be 3 numbers on the clock. And I would say, can you make an equation out of those numbers? So maybe it's 312, and you go, oh yeah, easily 1 plus 2 is equal to 3. But maybe it's 311, and you can't come up with a way to do that. But then you get better, and you go, oh, well, 1 to the third power is equal to 1. And sometimes you can't come up with one. And then I'll say, oh, what's the next time where there will be a good equation? And that really is making them think, and it's really just 3 numbers on a clock is all I'm doing. So all kinds of things like that I'll kind of challenge my kids on to just kind of think mathematically. Reading the newspaper or reading a magazine and picking apart the numbers. Sometimes we'll see things. Well, there's 7 million people that were in Times Square on New Year's Eve, and go, okay, well, we got this square footage, and how many people can I put in there? Were there really 7 million people there? And just to get them to think and to challenge numbers around them, I think is a really good exercise.
Certainly. So, Mr. Dave, what will be your advice for those people out there that they don't like the subject of math?
It's part of the reason why I wrote the books, and I got a really nice letter from a girl. She was down in Florida. I went and spoke at her school, and she wrote me a letter afterwards, and basically she said, I didn't really like math. And during COVID, my dad got me the first of the Math Kids books because he knew I loved to read. And I read it. She goes, and I kind of liked it. And then he got me the second one and the third one and the fourth one. And she said, it's 3 years later, and now math is my favorite subject, and it's also my best subject. She said, what you did was convince me to give math a shot, that it was a little bit more interesting than I thought. And if I can do that, then I think we've come a long way. I also tell kids it's like anything else, and I relate a lot of stuff back to sports because a lot of kids play sports, and I'll say, when you went out and played soccer the first time, were you the best soccer player? And they all go, well, no. And I said, how did you get better? They said, well, we practice. And I said, math is the same way. Really, any subject, anything you do, practice is going to help you to make you better. You're going to get more confident, and then you're going to be able to move on. and there's going to be times when you struggle, and that's okay. And you'll get better through that struggle. And then after that, you're going to be a better soccer player. You're going to be a better mathematician.
Definitely. So, what are your short term and long term goals in writing, Mr. Dave?
So I wrote the Math Kids series. There's 10 books in that series now. 2 more books are completed and will be out over the next year. I had some parents that said, hey, my kids really like the Math Kids books, but I've got some younger kids. Have you got anything for them? So I started a new series called Emily and Sam about 2 twins named Emily and Sam, of course, and they try to learn, and sometimes that gets them into some trouble. So there's 3 books in that series that are out, and I'm starting a new series now that's not math related, just something kind of new. So I'll continue to write, and I've done so much technical stuff in my life. This being able to create and sit down at a keyboard and write is a really good avenue for me to take my brain a little bit different direction.
Good luck to your goals, Mr. Dave. So, how can parents encourage their child love of math without pressure?
Um, again, that's part of the reason for these books. Let them read it. Let them see that there's something more there. There's math in the books, but it's not a math workbook. It's a mystery story, and maybe you'll read it and say, I didn't really like the math, but the mystery was fun. That's great. And there are other series that will also encourage, math or kind of STEM kind of related activities. Get some books. I think reading is a great way because kids like to read. If I can get the reading, then maybe they'll pick up the math. And interestingly, these are really popular books in India. And when I was talking to the publisher over there, they said, well, we wanted, I wrote the books to get kids to do math. They said, well, we have a lot of kids that like to do math, but we don't like to read. So because it's a math book, we have a lot of kids now reading because there's math involved. So it actually worked out the other way there as well. So anything you could do, get kids to enjoy, ask questions about math, and they might find out that it's a little more interesting than they thought.
So, Mr. Dave, what are some real world applications of math that kids find exciting?
So one of the jobs I had right out of college was working for a company that made anti-tank missiles. So
Yes.
these were missiles to blow up tanks. And whenever you talk about blowing up stuff, kids get excited about that. And I said, and I worked on the missile guidance equations to be able to do that. I also spent 8 years working at Facebook, now Meta, designing monitoring systems for their data centers. And, kids are very familiar with Facebook, so they go, oh, well, that's really cool. So when I talk about things like that, their ears kind of perk up and they go, okay, these are things that I get. I understand. And I tell them I've been able to travel all around the world and things like that because of the stuff that I've done with math. So then you throw a little travel in there. Now they're starting to get interested that maybe this math thing isn't such a bad idea.
So, what strategies help math kids develop problem solving and critical thinking skills?
I think one of the things that I stress in the book is you don't always get it right the first time. We have these 4 elementary school kids, and they're trying to solve mysteries and solve puzzles, basically, and they don't always get it right the first time. And sometimes somebody has a little bit of input, and one of their friends has a little bit of input, and they work together. I think teamwork is a great way to learn math. I think small group kind of activities where you don't feel like all the burden is on you to solve it. You've got some friends that are helping you out with that. And sometimes they fail in the puzzles. And I think that's good to learn as well. I think it's good to know that you're not going to solve every problem. Solve the ones that you can.
Certainly. So, Mr. Dave, how do different cultures around the world nurture mathematical gifted children?
It's very different. It's interesting. These books have been translated into, I think, 7, 8, 9 languages. I've kind of lost track. They're very big sellers in Korea and China, where there's a big focus on math, and in India as well. We don't focus on math quite as much in the United States, and I think that's gonna hurt us if we don't get kids more encouraged to work on math and other STEM related fields. So it is very different. I think it's healthy to I don't want any kids, my kids, I don't want them just focused on math. I think it's good that reading's important, and science is important, and social studies is important, and art and music, all of those things. So don't be one dimensional. But math is one of those foundational things that help in so many areas. If you can do reading, and if you can do math, and if you have the ability to write, which means presenting your ideas to somebody else, those three fundamentals will take you a long way.
Certainly, mathematics is all the foundation in everything from physics to botany, from life.
Right, exactly right.
So, to wrap up our discussion, Mr. Dave Cole, can a child develop a love for math even if they initially struggle with it?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I've seen this time after time after time. Some of the kids in the math competitions, they're terrified. They come in as a third grader, and I'm showing them some things, and you could tell they are just really, really fearful of the math. And we practice, and we play these games, and their confidence grows. And these third graders that were terrified become fourth graders, and sometimes they're some of my best competitors because they've gained that confidence, and they've learned some things, and that's important. It's important to do that. It's important to try something. It's important to fail, and it's important to learn from that failure. So I think the more you do it, the better you get, the more confident you are, and next thing you know, you're teaching other people.
Definitely. Mr. Dave Cole, thank you so much for sharing your message to the world.
Thank you, Daniel. I really appreciate it. It was an interesting conversation.
Yes, and can you please invite our listeners to support all your series?
Yeah, you can find out about the series on. I've got a website that has all the different books on there, themathkids.com. And you'll find Emily and Sam and the Math Kids there, and read sample chapters and find out everything you want to know about the books.
Yes, people, let's support Mr. Dave Cole, because if you support him, more empowering books to come. So, Mr. Dave, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Daniel. Have a good evening.
More to come, people. See you soon.